Rob Whittaker and Paulo Costa both look to redeem themselves following a pretty unsatisfactory 2023. Stick around to hear my official prediction for their matchup at UFC 298 this week. All right, guys, so this is a great matchup. Very fun fight, Rob Whittaker and Paulo Costa. And both guys are looking to bounce back from a rough 2023 in some ways. Rob Whittaker definitely wants to bounce back following his loss to Dricus du Plessis at UFC 290. Now, going into that fight, I was 100% convinced that Rob Whittaker was going to smoke DDP. It's just crazy how perception can change so quickly because that was July and we're in February, and my opinion of DDP as a fighter and my expectations for DDP have changed drastically. Following the Derek Brunson win for DDP, I thought it was just like, oh, he's got no technique. He's a little bit of a bulldozer, and Rob Whittaker is just going to run through him. Now, with DDP beating Whittaker and Strickland and is now the champ, I feel like I have a lot more respect for DDP's game. Rob Whittaker, following that loss, that's obviously disappointing. And I think that the UFC wanted Rob Whittaker to fight Izzy back in Sydney, and it's just crazy how all of that ended up switching with him losing to DDP and then DDP not taking the fight because of an injury, and then Strickland becoming champ, and then now Strickland and DDP fighting each other. And now that's settled, and we don't know who DDP's first defense is going to be against. But I thought we were going to get Whittaker and Izzy 3 in Sydney at UFC 293, and it's just crazy how much has changed at middleweight since then. For Rob Whittaker, this is a big bounce back because if he loses again and loses maybe by knockout, same thing as that I feel about Volkanovski against Ilia Topuria, it could be, I'm not saying it will, could be his last fight if he loses in a bad fashion. These guys have been champs. They've been there, done that. And if you're not working your way back up towards the top of the mountain and you had to start fighting these contenders to work your way back up, multiple wins it would take. I don't know how much motivation there is for these guys to do that when they have money, especially former champs that have made pay-per-view points before and had multiple pay-per-view main events. Rob Whittaker did say that he went in with the wrong mindset against DDP and that he wants to actually inflict hurt on Paulo Costa, which is really exciting because I was not ready for Rob Whittaker to look as bad as he did and get smoked the way he did at UFC 290 by DDP. And so I want to see him and Paulo Costa with a hard fight. I don't want to see either guy get ran through. I want to see a very competitive fight because I do like both of these fighters a lot. Now, Paulo Costa is looking to bounce back from a inactive 2023. I believe he had 2 pullouts because they were going to put him against Ikram Alaskarov in Salt Lake City. And then they pulled him out to fight Hamzat in Abu Dhabi. And then he ended up getting a staph infection and had to pull out. So he didn't fight in 2023. So this is going to be Paulo Costa's first fight since fighting Luke Rockhold all the way back in 22 on the same card where Leon Edwards became champ with the head kick heard around the world. So I just think that Paulo Costa is looking to bounce back from inactivity. I mean, most of the comments I see about Paulo Costa these days are like, cut him. He doesn't want to fight. If he pulls out of this one, cut him. He doesn't want to be a fighter, all of that. And I don't think that that's necessarily fair. I know that he definitely is more committed to being like a personality than a fighter, or at least that's the perception on social media. But I don't think that him getting a staph infection in Abu Dhabi and not being able to fight Hamzat means that he doesn't want to be a fighter. I think that that was just a tough break. When I was fighting, I dealt with staph infections and ringworm and staph that had me have to be out of training for a little bit. And so I understand that that's just like a tough break, especially getting staph. That can end up being life-threatening. And Paulo Costa's was crazy severe. I think they said it was into the bone. So I won't be just another Reddit or Instagram commenter about Paulo Costa saying that he's scared or anything like that, especially like the Hamzat fans like to say. Both of these guys are looking to bounce back in big ways from disappointing 2023s. And so that's the stakes of the fight. And now into the technicality of the fight, I think that this is mostly going to be fought on the feet. Rob Whittaker with his karate style blitzes and Paulo Costa, big heavy hands and head kicks. But I could see this going to the ground. They both are black belts established grapplers. They have submitted people. They are well versed on the ground. But I think this is going to be a very hard fought stand-up fight. And so when I put just their stand-ups against each other, I would give the skill and technique to Rob Whittaker, and I would give the power and, big shot ability to Paulo Costa. And due to Rob Whittaker being susceptible to knockout, we saw him get absolutely starched by Izzy in their first fight. And we saw him get TKO'd and dropped by a jab against DDP. And DDP and Paulo Costa, their build is very similar. They probably hit close to the same. Paulo Costa is one of the hardest hitters in that division. I think that he should probably be at 205, in my opinion. He cuts a lot of weight to make 185. So given that, I believe, and although I love Rob Whittaker and I also really like Paulo Costa, and I don't want to see Rob Whittaker go out in a bad way, my official prediction for Rob Whittaker and Paulo Costa at UFC 298 is that Paulo Costa is going to win by KO or TKO. Now, I could see this going in a different way. I could see Paulo Costa gassing and Rob Whittaker getting the win. But in my opinion, I think Paulo Costa is going to land a big shot that's going to put Rob Whittaker down. And Paulo Costa will be probably looking for a title shot after that, just saying. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think is going to win between Rob Whittaker and Paulo Costa, and why? If you like this video and you want more content just like this, click that subscribe button down below. If you want more content from me, go check out my weekly comedy podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, and go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.